I would say that in a fast tag game in today's world, you would be crazy to release your game with less than even half of 68 characters.
I mean, that's a very extreme number to force 34 out there.
Yeah, so let's just cut that in half to be reasonable.
But
34.
The last bit is just to say that the thing I wanted the most about this is the case, which is by having these all released together, there also are new characters that are balanced together. And
right, yes, important.
And around each other in a standardized way too, so they all kind of fit in. So here we go. There's a discussion about balance and a discussion about roster. Which way, young FGC gamer?
That is a false equivalence. We have played a lot of games that had rosters of 10 to 15 characters that were fucking balanced like
No, what I mean is this segue can swerve into Tekken or to 2XKO.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Let's go to 2XKO.
Hey, okay, you know what? No. I actually want to know, why is the Tekken patch so bad? I've never seen the FGC just turn on a whole game.
So this
like
one,
a whole game.
So this one is difficult because like
I don't play Tekken 8. So I don't know.
So I'm casual on Tekken, right? Like I play and I have a character and I enjoy playing it, and you know, stuff is cool, but I definitely have to refer to those who know and are in there much more frequently to learn. Fortunately, God damn it, let me try to find it. Fi released a Street Fighter equivalent of what these patches would be like if they were in Street Fighter 6.
Because to me, there was a divining rod, right? One was somebody in chat asks me, "Hey man, you see this shit happening with Tekken?" And I'm like, and I went on Steam live. I was like, you know, I opened up the browser and I went, how bad? And overwhelmingly negative. Holy shit. And then I checked my Discord, I think the next day, and Punk Duck had reached out to me out of nowhere and said, okay, well, Tekken 8 is abysmal. I'm switching to Virtua Fighter. And I was like, whoa, that's a big statement.
That's a lot.
That is a crazy statement. Whoa.
Yeah. And so there's the tricky part too is as well as the part where like there's been a lot. So Tekken, as well as a community, there's been a lot of moments of like people, you know, it's hard to tell when it's like, oh, this shit's garbage. And it's like, okay, is it? Or is it kind of like
your character?
Yeah. Because you know, it's not a cry wolf situation as much as it is. There's been times where you're like, damn it, this game is over. It's fucking dead. And it's like, it's not that bad. But admittedly,
I've heard that statement a lot.
But admittedly, basically they released a new character whose balance is all fucked up, and they're going to need to address it, right? What I will say is, and so this is one of those cases where you're like, is that what's happening here? And it's like, it seems like it's quite a bit more, and that's why the overwhelming amount of feedback is happening. Here, let me get you this this tweet. It feels like, I will say, so far, despite the fact that, like, you know, don't ask me for shit is the Harada meme, over time, when there's been these big moments of backlash, it usually feels like there's a correction moment, like with the Heihachi stage inclusion and shit. Makes like sense. That. There's a moment where they actually go, okay, no, wait, we fucked up. Hold on, let's go fix this, right? So here is a tweet from FiDX, who translated Tekken Season 2 changes for Street Fighter players.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got this up. Go ahead and read it because it's fun.
Okay, so...
we can assume our audience is more familiar with Street Fighter than Tekken.
Okay, so this is like saying Akuma Go Hadoken, which is the Hadoken. Damage has been... let me pull up, reduced by 50. Okay, hold on. Shit, it shrunk. Sorry. Damage been reduced by 50, 100, 150 on light, medium, heavy. Akuma, damage reduced by 50, 100, 150, light, medium, heavy. Input changed to down, down plus punch. So what if Shoryuken became down, down plus punch, right? Okay. So Akuma's Tatsu, frame advantage on block increased from -13 to -1. So what if Tatsu was just almost safe, right? His health increases from 9,000 to 10,000, which is standardized health. So the big weakness Akuma usually has. Yeah, we just took that away. Okay, his demon flip kick increased startup speed, making it harder to react to. Shengoku Satsu, which is the raging demon, changed input to down down kick plus punch, so you can just do it right away. And it's invincible to projectiles from the first frame. But to make up for this, damage has been reduced to 4,000 from 4,700, right? And then a little also at the bottom, Kami, quick spin knuckle, projectile invuln from the first frame instead of the 9th, and frame advantage on hit changed to +8, which is enough time for her to do a standing heavy punch, which allows a full combo afterwards.
You know what the best part about this is? I absolutely perfectly understand exactly how this would translate into Tekken.
Yes.
It's like, okay, so everything is faster, scarier, less threatening, like it's less safe on block, but hey, you know what? Hey, did you get a hit in? Just go, do whatever. Just go crazy.
Okay.
But we toned the damage down. We toned it down, so it's safe. It's
also
fair now.
And there's new moves that track and do everything and basically create 50-50 situations after you block them because you were mistaken for blocking it. You should not have been there, and now that
they turned it into Killer Instinct without combo breakers.
So it all goes pretty intense, right? And that level of like the translation, like going over, now they're like, the idea is, what if you applied that to like the whole cast, right?
You'd be insane. Why would you do it?
So this all started with initially they revealed that they're like throw teching, which is when you break a throw, was going to change for the first time. You're going to have it be so that breaking a throw led to you taking a little bit of damage while the person who tried to throw is in heat, right? So that's an activated point during the round.
Is that how they say it?
In heat?
Is that how people in Tekken say it? Is like when your opponent is in heat?
During heat. Yeah, that's the mechanic is called heat, and you activate it. So when you're in heat, these are the things that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
You can say phrasing all you want. That's how it's referred to. Characters go in heat.
Oh, it's true. They do that.
This has been a thing. It's the whole time. Anyway, so
that's so fucking funny. Oh my god.
So a big part of this has been so that was an initial change, and then also they made a change so that when you do key charge, which was originally in every Tekken game, you press all 4 buttons and then you go zzz, and you see a little spark. Usually that means that you can't block, and 2, the next thing you do will act as if it were a counter hit. Which changes the properties of the attack in a lot of cases, allowing you to do different types of combos or strings and such. They changed that as well so that it's just a damage increase instead of a hit type property change, right? People were understandably pretty upset about that because they're like, these are part of the identity of the franchise. They've been there for so long, and it's really strange to just do that. There's a discussion point around like when Street Fighter V launched and reversal like wake up Shoryuken type situations where like Shoryukens were not invulnerable, and then they had to like eventually go like, okay, no, only if you do it as an EX move or so. But it was just very weird because it was just like, this has been a part of this franchise for a really long time. People were upset about that, and then they were like, also there's going to be character specific changes that are coming later on, but that was the first one. People were upset, and they did respond before patch 2.0 for Tekken 8 dropped. and the response was, and this is the thing where I'm like, Radiant and the 2XKO folks and everything, like explaining your patch notes and why you do things is very important, because perception is super, super crucial to people perceiving and understanding why things are the way they are, right?
It's part of the meta game of balance. Like, we've had games in the past buff guns in Call of Duty by changing their sound effect. Right. And it works on player psychology, but explaining, like, no, here's the actual design mentality behind why we nerf this or change this. It also affects player mentality, because people who understand and don't just, why is it different?
Yeah,
you know,
I've often said how much I love Rising Thunder's patch notes, and to that end, when
they're great.
Yeah, and the same energy is going into, like, when they're breaking down details about 2XKO. Excuse me, like, when you describe what you're changing, you go, here's what it was, here's what we wanted it to do, here's where it was failing to do that, people were doing something else and it wasn't working that same way, and so here's why we're changing it, and here's what we're changing it to. And so that initial thing of people just seeing that and going, I don't understand why you're doing this, what the fuck is going on, especially if it's a thing that's been a legacy part of the franchise for the entire time, you know, rightfully understandably confused as to what the fuck is going on, right? Why are you doing this? So then an explanation kind of came out and addressed it, and it did go into why. And I feel like something that has unfortunately happened with a lot of Japanese fighting games over the years has been like because I'm thinking of, like, specifically as well when Killer Instincts would also have, like, Keats do those streams where he's like, we're gonna do like a 3-hour stream cracking over every one of these changes and what y'all wanted and what you're looking for.
They were great.
Walking you
Keats
through
is
it.
Great.
So everyone was everyone understood where you were coming from, where you were going, and what the intention was. And I remember the days of just like, yeah, a lot of games that were just like, no, there's a way of doing things, and that is we make a change. We don't want to tell you what it is, and you have to discover for yourself why and what that means. But by playing everything close to the chest, you know, you're just kind of like, you don't want to dictate how people should play, but also you create frustration when you're like, I don't know why you did this. It's baffling. And
I mean,
it makes
I'm
no
watching
sense,
like
right?
Somebody posted a tweet in here, and it's like a trivial touch of death off of like a trade.
So
and it's like a touch of death. Like, that's crazy.
I remember when we got updates to, like, I think it was like Super Street Fighter 4, and I saw like a Feilong or a couple other things where it's just like various adjustments have been made, and you're like,
go fuck yourself. How about that? How about how about you go fuck yourself in a various amount of ways that I won't specify?
It really, really, really sucked to just not know what the fuck that meant. So with this, even getting into the specifics of the detail of, like, you know, here's what the frame data changes are and the property changes are, the explaining the why part is something that's really important. So an explanation came out afterwards where they said, okay, so in terms of the feedback on throws, here's what we were getting at. And this is something, and like with throws, there's always been like this kind of thing where throwing in Tekken is, if you're a top player, you can recognize whether the left hand is above the right hand or the right hand is above the left. And
you check it 100% of the time.
And you can always tech what you see because you have the reactions and you're just that good. You've trained yourself and you have the skill for that. If you're not amongst that list, if you're everyone else, you're getting thrown all the time nonstop. You can't break shit, right? so it's this really, like, interesting thing when you have you have a character that's built around throws, like a king or so, where you're like, oh, your kit doesn't work on people that can react to this, but a whole bunch of players are unable to react to throws and just get thrown constantly. I
can't react to throws in Tekken.
It's an aggressive.
I can't do it.
You have to train for this. And honestly, like, I was talking with a bunch of folks this week about it, but like, Tekken does feel like a game where it is very difficult to make that your secondary game while you main something else, especially like a 2D fighter. If Street Fighter or Guilty Gear or so is your main game and you have Tekken as your secondary or so, it feels it's much more difficult than if you make Tekken your main game and then you put something else secondary, because of how much unique stuff that doesn't apply to all the other fighters Tekken requires of you.
I would say it's the same with like Virtua Fighter. It's like, yeah, I play Virtua Fighter on the side. No, you don't. You either play Virtua Fighter and other shit, or you fucking just shit at Virtua Fighter.
Playing Tekken makes you can help you with Soul Calibur. and vice versa.
Absolutely.
But like that's a two-way street, and it's locked in its own place, you know, versus a lot of other 2D fighters where, you know what, getting better at blocking in Strive or Exert is going to apply to certain Marvel games or certain Hyper games, playing Dragon Ball, playing
Absolutely,
a team fighter,
100%.
playing Skullgirls. A lot of these skills are
the 2D fighters
interchangeable.
all have more shared DNA than all of the 3D fighters.
Exactly. Like Mortal Kombat with a block button is obviously out over here on the side.
We're talking about fighting games.
But yeah, but like, you know, things where there's a lot that's interchangeable. But yeah, Tekken really is doing its own, you know. So so with that, you have something difficult where they're like, okay, how do we address throws when so many people are having trouble with it, but at the same time, competitively, it's not as much of a threat as it needs to be, right? Well, I mean, certainly there's things where like King has, obviously there's 1+2 breaks, which is like you break by pressing both 1 and 2 together, or he has a throw that you break with 3, I believe Renato explained to me. Mm-hmm. So what they explained after they made those changes was essentially that, yeah, people have struggled with throw breaking, and people that are really good, you know, certainly are able to do so, but a large majority of players are struggling. And so what they wanted to do was, alongside this, with this change, they made it so that 1+2 breaks, which require you to think and recognize them and break them, it takes a little bit more attention. There's a larger window of time when you can break that. Mm-hmm. Right? So those throw breaks get easier. And if you try to throw somebody and you whiff, also you're going to be slower to recover from that whiff, which means going for a throw and messing up is more punishable. And so that was the idea, was essentially we're going to make it so that it's easier for most people who struggle with throws to break and punish them. And so in exchange for that, at high level, if you are already able to break all these throws, well, you shouldn't be there to begin with. You should be either sidestepping or doing something because you're a good enough player to not to avoid this. Therefore, you don't take the little bit of damage that's the idea behind it, right?
And here's where you get to this weird place in your life where you hear somebody make a calm and reasonable argument from a position of knowledge, and all you have in your gut is, that sounds stupid as fuck.
So that's something that they ultimately went, okay, we're going to roll back the part where the person who tried to throw gets one bit of recovered health, and we're going to make it so that the person who takes the throw is going to get a little bit of health that can be recovered over time. But overall, that explanation, I do understand where they're coming from when it's like, yeah, throws are something completely different to like the competitive level of player versus 90% of everyone else, right? I get that explanation. What ends up happening is alongside this, there's then the full release of the 2.0 patch, which is like everyone now has all their, like, everyone's abilities. There's new moves. Stuff has been adjusted drastically, like that Akuma thing we did earlier, where it's like, oh, this kind of discussion about throws and key charges are like way in the background now because the overall game has gotten way more insane, and it's effectively what people are calling like a Kusoge patch, which is the equivalent of like what the insane Dragon Ball Fighters thing they did on the way out is kind of happening now while Tekken 8 is live, you know? And it was like, in the case of Dragon Ball, when it was like, hey, we're getting out of here with one last hurrah while the game, you know, was kind of retiring, that's very different from we're in the peak of this game's life in the middle of a second season, you know? But it led to...
It's very weird.
It led to what people are kind of... So everyone's got their different takes on it, but essentially they're like... The discussion from players are that, like, there are now like 20 characters in S tier is kind of the idea.
So it's really well balanced then.
Everyone, including the already strongest characters, has gotten buffed and incredible improvements. In a lot of cases, they've been given stuff that's so strong that they lose their identity. what was special about the character or unique about their kit
Oh no!
falls by the wayside.
Oh my god! I just saw Paul do 60% on a single counter hit punch.
So give me a second. I'll get to what you're looking at in that video. What ends up happening is people end up having a lot of they have new moves and new things where the risk reward for doing this new thing is just so much better than anything else their old kit did that you should just do this new thing, right? So everyone, include like whether they needed it or not, got buffed to oblivion, and so the philosophy now is being challenged of the like don't nerf just buff, in which we've had this discussion quite a bit. So we're gonna have to.
Now they're so strong you don't even have to play the game.
So we're gonna have to like put the asterisk and explain that a little bit further. I think that video. There's a video of Paul doing the punch and strongest in the universe, and like you see 60% damage in one hit, right? And so that's counter hit damage plus heat plus rage plus I think the key charge as well. So
I don't care.
Right?
I don't care.
Yeah. And the clean hit. And it's like 5 or so like unique, impossible type situations all stacked on each other to create that outcome. So that's
too much. Even with all that.
So just the point of the sentence being that like it would be pretty impossible for all those things to occur in a real match to get that damage. But still, that shouldn't be numerically like achievable through your fighting game. But that's a bad example of things being dumb because that's not a real one, right? The real one is when you see Jack doing an endless stream of lunging elbows.
I also saw that.
Where you're like unable to do shit and the mistake you made was blocking it. Or where, things that were safe and already strong and advancing also track. So if you try to sidestep, you get blown up for it.
Oh, that's mean. Come on.
And a lot of other things that, overall changed some of the game worked was the ability to like sidestep forward from crouch and just some major stuff that has never been the case in the game is now just open-ended, so it does. So I kind of wondered, I'm like, were they going for a Dragon Ball FighterZ-esque like Kusoge style patch with the way that Dragon Ball went out and kind of we're just fundamentally changing the spirit of what we think the goal of the game is here, hard to say, but I think initially, so let me see here, because I believe there was an explanation document for some of these changes, and kind of getting into like what they're overall getting at. But the end result has been even everyone that has a stronger character have been really upset, going like, this isn't what I wanted this game to be. This isn't fun. And, overall, even I feel like it feels like I'm robbing people in a way where, the one thing that they expected was based on a previous statement, which they said, we're going to be buffing defense, right? They claimed that
that's not true.
They claimed that defense was going to be improved in the future. And here, not only is defense not improved, it's completely gone the opposite way, where it's all offense or nothing. And that has made everyone go, well, what the fuck why'd you say that, right? So yeah, it has erupted in a massive review bomb. Obviously, we're seeing it be overwhelmingly negative. People are basically quitting the game and or switching to Virtual Fighter, or various players are basically going, I don't want to compete. Overall, the craziest part about this was like when I was talking about it with Reggie, we kind of went, man, this is nuts, because all of this just out of nowhere. Not even with a piece of new content, huh? And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. And completely forgot, like everyone else did, that Anna was released with this patch. And Anna is not discussed at all. Nobody knows anything about how Anna's doing, because
I remembered that this is part of it, but like I have not seen the word Anna.
No one has any idea how Anna is doing. And also, she was someone who was 50-50 heavy as like a part of what she was about, in irony. but yeah, who knows, because no one's discussing the new character, you know. It's kind of just this really nutso moment where a lot of, again, what people describe as the identity of the franchise just feels like it's gone. And there has been, I believe earlier today, essentially an emergency patch discussion. So they're talking about adjusting Paul's Hammer of the Gods and Jack's Elbow are two things that are going to be pushed out, and they're going to be looking at feedback from everyone else to further go on and adjust more, and perhaps, you know, tweak or maybe even remove things as time goes on. I don't. The messaging is vague at the moment. The issue that a lot of people have is that this is such a large sweeping change where the whole cast has gotten a whole bunch of new shit and so many things have changed that, like, a couple of tweaks and flips here and there are not going to cut it. Like, it would have to almost be like a full overhaul, a full rollback, you know. So yeah, like, pulling back on some stuff is not going to fix, you know, what they're doing there. I was looking at what was going on with Steve Fox, and like, they gave him a bunch of shit where if I'm just reading that, I'm going like, oh my God, that's incredible, you know, but then also stuff where he doesn't have the freedom
but it's in a world in which everyone else got something incredible.
And overall, it's like, yeah. So the I understand the idea of
fucking Syndrome from The Incredibles fucking balancing Tekken now.
So what ends up sucking exactly is the, like, when everybody is like really strong, but they're strong in the same homogenized way, that's not as fun. That certainly makes people who have been spending a really long time getting good at these games feel like, well, what was I doing, right? And that ends up being a lot of the struggle. I feel like when I feel people talk about Tekken and are upset with the way things are going, because there's people that were upset with the way things are going already, you know, with like heat mode. A lot of legacy players, as the term was described in the tweet, a lot of older players are like, yeah, this is a spectator feature that's a lot more hyperactive and kind of just made for us viewers, but as a player, this doesn't feel as good, and, you know, it makes it even harder to be strong defensively. And so it's just like a doubling down on that philosophy, you know?